Hi guys, so we are here with round two with our live chats, and today we've got Carissa Bennett on the call with us. Carissa, I'll get her to introduce herself in a sec, but she's a business owner. She's a coach for certain types of businesses. She has done a great job in building herself a business. I think she's doing a lot of things really effectively, which we'll kind of break down and talk about. At the end of this session, we're going to work through what we can do to kind of push her forward. So some of you may be a member of our Growth Sprout community where you're working through your growth programs. Where Carissa will be at, which is awesome, is she's built all of her foundations. She's got a funnel that works. She knows that if she sends people to certain pages, she knows what kind of conversion rate she's going to get. She knows she can build her business that way. So her biggest challenge now is to look at new ways to drive traffic to her funnel and just test how different channels perform. And I guess now she can look at building a long-term strategy to just keep refining and keep amplifying that growth, which is a pretty cool place. I know a lot of other people are still kind of building that foundational framework. So there's a lot that we can learn from Carissa, which we'll bring out. So Carissa, I'll just let you introduce yourself.
Okay, cool. So hi, everybody. I'm Carissa. I am the owner, founder, and coach of Practitioners with Purpose. So I'm a holistic business coach, and my niche is holistic health practitioners. So I essentially help holistic health practitioners in their earlier stages of business and in their setup, because that's where I'm kind of specializing in right now.
So what is a holistic health practitioner for those people that don't know what that means?
Yeah, so anybody that considers themselves under that bracket might be a holistic nutritionist, naturopath, Reiki practitioner, healer, spiritual practitioner of some description, health coach. That's probably the majority of them. Kinesiologist, myotherapist, massage therapists. There are lots of people that fit into those brackets that wouldn't consider themselves as holistic health, but holistic health is my passion, and that's essentially why I'm targeting that group, because what they do inspires me.
And so what holistic health practitioners do is they instead of looking at symptoms of why people are sick or whatever, they actually look at the root causes and their job is to make people lead a healthier life through their expertise.
Yeah, and they essentially look at a person from every aspect and holistically, so through diet, lifestyle, mindset, emotional causes, spirituality, and then like your kind of science as well. So they kind of cover all bases. And so you're not just being given a pill to fix something. They really are, trying to find the root cause and treat the cause rather than the symptoms, so that it'll go away longer term instead of just being a Band-Aid patch.
That is awesome. And tell us a little bit about how you got into the field and your background.
Yeah, so I actually have a naturopath for a mum. And so I always grew up with that mentality and that kind of understanding of why holistic health is so important. I went on to study nutritional medicine, holistic nutritional medicine, about 5 years ago now. And I really wasn't sure whether I wanted to work in it, but I just wanted the skill and the knowledge for myself. Essentially, when I came out of that degree, I decided I didn't want to practice.
You've just frozen there, Carissa. So hopefully we can bring her back. Give me a sec to let her know.
As a nutritionist.
Carissa, you just dropped out.
Oh, no.
I think it's okay now. Just repeat that last bit. So you decided you didn't want to go into the field itself?
Yep. So I think I know why I just cut out. Someone's trying to ring me on my phone. I think so I didn't want to be a nutritionist, practice nutrition as a nutritionist, but I was interested in coaching. So I've got a big, long background of coaching in a variety of different roles, in sales roles. I've managed a retail sales store for a long time, in quite different to retails, in travel sales. So I love coaching. That's kind of my biggest passion, and I just didn't really want to do it with health. And so, my journey essentially led me here, where I'm helping in the same area of the holistic health, but just coming from a different angle.
Awesome. And I guess so you've got so there will be some people on this call that are looking to become a coach or are a coach. Are there any broad learnings that you've had about what kind of applies to coaching across any industry?
Yeah, there's quite a few things. Firstly, the main thing would be that I'm not there to mentor or guide. Well, guide, I probably am to guide, but not to mentor them. So I don't come up with new suggestions and new ideas unless it's kind of prompted through them. So I'll ask them questions. And if we kind of don't get led down the track, I might kind of prompt them to go in a different direction. But essentially, it's kind of led by the client. And I like to differentiate myself from a coach to the difference between a coach and a mentor, because there are lots of holistic health practitioner mentors, and I do something very different to that. The mentor would be coming from their own personal experience as far as like how to be a better practitioner, and that's not what I offer. So that's kind of part of it, the question side of things. The other side would be, the biggest learning would be detaching yourself from their results and really being okay with the fact that they're in control and they have to put in the work. And all I can do is help guide them into that process. But essentially it's up to them. And that's kind of hard sometimes because you just really want to help. And if they're not doing the work, then they don't get the results. And that's really frustrating sometimes. And so that's probably one of my biggest learnings, is just really detaching myself from their results and just trying to trust in my own abilities and know that as long as they put in the work, like I'm doing my job.
Yeah. And I think that we talk about this actually probably in most conversations I have is about self-doubt when it comes to running your own business, because there's no one else to kind of really tell you you're doing a good job. It can be hard to keep that self-belief, and obviously we will make mistakes as well, but it's so important just to remember why you are, why people trust you, and that you are doing something amazing and you are helping people, and that people can only be kind of helped and taken so far. They do have to take some initiative in their own success.
Totally.
And that was really interesting about comparing a coach and a mentor. So I think that there's twofold there. There's probably a lot of people that will be listening to this at some stage, either live or later, who either want to get a mentor or a coach themselves or again, become one. So that's quite a good distinction. So are you saying that you would classify a mentor as maybe someone that helps work in their business on the service offerings and as them as an expert, as opposed to on their business and growing their business?
So a mentor, like in my niche, if we're talking about my niche to use an example, a mentor might be somebody who's been a naturopath for 10 years, 20 years, and they're mentoring other naturopaths in how to become a better naturopath.
Yeah.
So as far as their business mentoring, they're basically coming from, this is what I've done to build my business and this is what worked for me. And so this is what you should do. Whereas a coach, I focus a lot more on mindset, and I'll focus a lot more on kind of broadening the spectrum. It's not necessarily something that I've done, but it's something that might work for them in their business.
Yeah, great.
Kind of a slightly different spin.
Would people often have a mentor and a coach, or one or the other?
I think that you should have one or the other, because if you have two going at the same time, you can get conflicting kind of information, I guess, because we come at it from a slightly different angle.
You're building their business as opposed to their expertise.
Yeah.
Awesome. Okay, cool. All right. Well, I think that hopefully makes sense to everyone. So I wanted to talk next about your journey to date. So how long you've been in business, how you got here, anything that you found really easy, anything that you found really challenging, anything that surprised you about that journey?
So I was living over in the UK until about April last year. And when I left there in February, I decided that was the last time I was ever going to work for somebody else. I traveled for a couple of months on my way back to Melbourne, and I then essentially started my journey kind of in April. I took it pretty easy for the first couple of months because I'd been away from home for a long time. So I just spent a lot of that time just catching up with people and what have you. But then I really kind of knuckled down in sort of about May, probably June, July last year. And that was, so what are we now? February. So February, my goodness. So like 8 or 10 months ago about them.
Okay.
So like I said, I kind of created a business as a health coach and had no idea what I was doing, didn't know what the hell, like where to start kind of thing. And then I signed up to do, I actually, before I signed up to do this program, I actually, I spent months like trawling the internet and looking up everything that I could possibly look up to, you know, I opted in for every opt-in, and, you know, I had quite a few business skills already, but going online was just kind of taking things to a different realm for me.
So this is the first online business you've had or you've been really involved in?
Yeah. And so then I signed up to do like a 4-month coaching program with a coach for myself. And through that process, I kind of just came to a lot of realizations that actually I know a hell of a lot more about this than I thought I did. And that was kind of really put in my face a lot of times just because of the other people that were in the program. I just noticed that I was like a lot further ahead. And although I hadn't put a lot of it into practice yet, I did understand a lot of the core kind of things that I needed to do. And then at one stage throughout that program in around August, I was actually having a conversation with my naturopath, and I was kind of explaining a few concepts to her and how she could build her business. And I just was like overwhelmed with excitement on the idea of helping her. And that was at kind of the turning point for me. I really got home that day and I was like, okay, that's what I was born to do, because I do it naturally. A lot of my kind of peers from college, like from uni, used to always ask me how to set shit up and how to organize things and how to like plan for their business and how to kind of strategize and stuff. And I just kind of do that kind of thing quite naturally, I think. And so that's essentially where it sort of started. So halfway through the coaching program, I had to switch and basically start back from the start and do the whole thing again from a different business perspective, because I wasn't no longer doing health coaching. And I launched like a hard launch properly. I was kind of dabbling a few things from kind of August through till October, but then I did my launch in October. So it's only been about 3 full proper months now.
Yeah. Right. Okay.
Yeah.
And,
so I my hard launch kicked off with an ad, a Facebook ad, which I launched around I think it was about the 25th of October. And in my first 5 weeks, I signed up, I think it worked out to be 5 clients, 4 of which paid in full for a 6-session program, which essentially was about a $6,000 return in my first 5 weeks. And that was really freaking exciting for me, because I was just getting kind of instant validation that what I was doing was right and it was working. And then December hit and things quietened down, and my ad quietened down because I had actually quite a narrow audience, and that sort of had ran out of people to show it to essentially. And so I just turned the ad off, and I just took a bit of a downer for December, and then I took a solid 3.5 weeks off in December, like January time. And then I've only just got back into it in the last couple of weeks, but I've signed up another 3 clients since that first hard launch. So yeah, I've increased my prices and I've done a whole lot of other stuff, which is all really exciting. So yeah, it's really kind of moving along now.
Yeah, I think that's awesome. I think there's so much in there that we could talk about that I think you've done a great job at, that other people might have struggled with or might be afraid of. And I think one of them is the importance of validation. So finding a way that you can test that you're actually solving a problem and that you're relevant, people are willing to pay for that early on before you spend a whole lot of money or time in investing in building out a business. Totally. So I love that. I think that what has worked extremely well for you is the fact that you've done such a great job at finding a niche that you're passionate about, and you are passionate, you're so passionate about it. So
yeah,
you're in this business as well. So you're going to be successful, like you already are, but because you've got that passion, but you've also found a problem that actually exists. And really, I mean, you would know better than me, but I haven't seen a huge number of, in fact, I haven't seen anyone else doing exactly what you do for this niche. So there's a gap there that you've found, which is amazing. And I'd love you to talk a little bit about what you think was the importance of having a niche, and the fact that you can be so tailored to your messaging now to these specific people, because they're all the same.
Yeah, totally. So for me, it's key 101, and it's the first thing that I go through with my clients. Without the niche, I wouldn't have been able to target anything. As Marie Forleo says, if you're talking to everybody, you're talking to nobody. And that was kind of the thing that was just in my head the whole time. And it was really, I was quite lucky because the niche just clicked for me in the moment that I decided I was going to do that particular business. And so I know that that's not super common for other people, but what I find with my clients is that it's almost always the case that their journey to where they are right now is their niche. So they are their niche essentially 5 years previous to where they're at right now. Also. And so, with my practitioners, they may have had a health journey on a particular condition. And so therefore they're essentially treating people with that condition now because they're on the other side of it. So without the niche, there's no way that my launch would have gone the way that it did. There's no way I'd be connecting with the people the way that I am. I chose my name based on my niche so that it was really clear as to who I was for. And the people that are in that niche resonate with it really quickly and easily. And I totally recognize that people that aren't in the niche are just like, what the hell? But it doesn't matter because they're not the people that I'm aiming to. So it's worked really well. It's so important.
Awesome. I love it. I totally agree. And so tell us a little bit about, so we talked at the beginning about the fact that you're kind of at the stage now, you're pretty much ready to scale. You've tested the concept, you've got a funnel that works. Can we talk through that funnel? So what have you built? What happens? How do people find you? And then what happens after that?
Yeah. So I've got two at the moment. The first one was essentially a PDF download. And that was really, really, really simple stuff that I had to go and look for myself before I found a coach. So I found a scheduling tool. I found I can't even remember what the tools are that are on my freebie now, but essentially it's a PDF download with 3 or 4 different tools that help them start looking professional straight away. And so I ran an ad that sent them to the download. And that essentially landed on a landing page. And that landing page sent them, that was connected then to my email marketing, which sent them the download. And then they sent to a second landing page, which essentially offered them a free strategy call with me. And so what I've found over the last couple of months is that if I can get someone on a strategy call, I have around about a 60 or 70% conversion rate. And I think that's actually going to improve because a couple of the people that said no have said next year, and we've got follow-up times over the next couple of weeks. And so that potentially might increase even further. And so my main aim of that was to get them on the phone, because if I can get them on the phone, I can make a really big impact into the clarity that they have around their business. And because they're feeling so stressed around that, it's really helpful. And so it shows them what I can do. We can connect. And so they get to get a bit of a feeling of whether they want to work with me. And it's also really important for me to find out if they're even someone that I want to work with as well. And I tell them if they're not. And I have told a couple of people, no, look, this isn't going to work for a variety of different reasons. They might have been looking for a mentor and that's not what I'm offering, or whatever that might be. I've turned away a couple, but essentially that was my funnel.
Yeah. And what kind of conversion rate do you have on the call? So people booking the call?
It was around about 12%.
Okay.
So I think in that first 5 weeks, I got about 130 signups, and I had maybe about 10%, actually, about 13 calls.
Yeah.
Yeah. Some of them I didn't actually get them on the phone. And yeah, as I said, I've got a couple that might convert later, but yeah, it worked out. I think at the time when I'd signed up 5, I'd had about 10 calls, I think, with 2 on the burner. Yeah.
Okay. And I'm guessing, do you have a level of capacity as well? So what's going to happen when you're booked out? Is that it? You're just going to charge more and be like, hey, I'm in high demand? Or will you try and scale? Or?
Yeah. So ultimately, the purpose of me, or part of the purpose of me initially selling 6 and 10 session blocks, was that I wanted to take them on a bit of a journey through a process of kind of things that I knew that they would need. And I really wanted to test that and see what came up for them, to pick out the kind of common denominators between all of them, see how the process worked from start to finish, as far as what came up first, what came up in the middle, and what came up in the end, both as far as mindset, strategy, and tech kind of stuff, what sort of got in the way. And that's been perfect, because essentially through that, it's kind of been a little bit of me kind of researching essentially for a group program. And so,
wow, yeah.
Yeah. And so the group program, my aim is to have that kind of going in around April, May kind of time. I've already started getting some really good ideas around that. And I've just got to basically create the content and get that going. But essentially that will take me out of the business slightly. So I've got, 10 people in a group or what have you. And that takes a little bit less of my time than spending one-on-one sessions with clients. And they'll be able to go in and do modules and what have you for essentially the same things that I go through clients with on a one-to-one basis, but they won't get that one-to-one interaction like they would if they were paying kind of the premium to have me in a one-to-one capacity.
So will you change your funnel once that's launched to have that sort of maybe as the first step, and then if they want to upsell into a one-on-one program, the call would be after that to save you time, or how would you structure that?
Yeah, I haven't really thought that far ahead, to be honest. I am sure that will probably be one of the options, but I do really genuinely want to keep some one-on-one clients because I really, really, really love working with them. Like I get up every single session and I'm just like fist pumping, really excited and loving it. And so yeah, I'm not really sure yet. That's a bit further than what I've planned at this stage.
But I still love that, again, you're validating everything before you do it. You found a way, so you're doing a great job. You've already found, again, you've got a problem that you're solving. You've got people that are willing to pay for your solution. You've actually been able to increase your price in such a short time, which is amazing. And then the next problem, you're the only one of me, and you've already thought through how you're going to solve that problem. And there's many ways you could have done that, but you're going to offer a group program. So that's great, because you're building out almost like a value ladder of different pricing points and ways that you can continue growing your business without going out or doing things that you don't want to do, which in some cases might be you employing people.
Yeah, so I think with the group program, I actually have got a couple of levels within that as well. Actually, it'll be just be in there without any interaction with me, and then it will be in there with group calls, and then be in there with group calls and one-to-one coaching as like a kind of ladder of cost for that program as well.
Brilliant. And probably here's probably a good transition where we'll start talking about your next strategies and kind of brainstorming some ideas for you. So what I wanted to say before we do that is now we're recording this live, but we're not watching the Facebook live chat. So if there are any comments that have come through, which may not be live, but now, or if you're watching this after we're live, please ask Carissa any questions, or myself, that you have around anything that we've talked about. As we've kind of talked about, Carissa has some amazing learnings that she's done. I think she's zoomed ahead of majority of people when they've launched a business. She's like 6 months in, 8 months into her business and is succeeding. She's validated it. She's making great money. She's solving problems that a lot of people struggle with. So if you have any questions about her journey and what she's done, or want any insights in what you're doing and how either of us might be able to support you or offer some advice, let us know. But yeah, so let's have a chat around next steps for you and what's next. So I know we've got Facebook ads going. Can you talk around anything that you found? I mean, you might not have found anything challenging, but anything that you've found challenging on Facebook, or anything that you're nervous about when you now are going to be able to scale and you want more volume?
So the things that I found most challenging, apart from getting out of my own way, that would definitely be the biggest challenge. And I think every entrepreneur feels that at some point, where you're self-doubting, etc. It was really, really amazing to have my own coach, because that helped me with that process a lot. And that's part of the reason that I wanted to become that as well for other people. Messaging has probably been the biggest learning curve as far as like copywriting side of things. I'm actually just enrolled in a copywriting course, which is going to hopefully take my copy to another level. I know I do some things quite well, but I really want to kind of capitalize on that. Essentially, if the message isn't clear and it's not directed at my niche, then they are not listening. And so that's probably been the toughest thing to really nail, because I can see very quickly when I've done it well and when I haven't done it well, based on posts and different things in Instagram and Facebook and what have you. So that's probably been the thing that I've really been trying to focus on the most, to really nail that.
Do you think that there's any learnings that you could share about what you've learned has worked well for you and what didn't work that maybe other people could apply?
Yeah. So, well, it's interesting because do you mean like from an actual like a strategy point of view, or from sort of that like that side of things from the messaging?
I guess whatever you think is worth mentioning. I know that when I speak to people, one of the biggest questions that I get asked is, what do I say? And that might be about ads, it might be about landing pages, it might be about emails, but messaging scares people. And so I think anything that you can say on this topic that's like, don't do this or do this, would be helpful to a lot of people.
Yeah. So the key, I think, for the messaging side of things is to really get into the emotions and how that person's feeling in their body when they're having the problem that you're there to solve. Mm-hmm. And so, you know, my clients, before they've got me, they're sitting paralyzed. They don't know what to do. They don't know how to move forward. They wake up and they've just got this knot in their stomach because they want this business to move and it's not moving. And so for everybody else's different types of niche, it's around, like, for me, the most important thing that I've found that works is to really connect with them emotionally. People purchase with their emotions, and so you really have to connect with that emotion in your messaging. And so, like I said, I've done that well and not very well lots of times. But yeah, just really getting into their heads is kind of the biggest sort of thing around that, I think. And doing a lot, like spending a lot of time on it and really researching. One thing I did actually really well was do some interviews with people that were in my niche and ask them how they were feeling and got them to speak it back to me, because my language and the way I describe how they're feeling is quite different to the way they describe how they're feeling, because I'm, as I said earlier, a few steps ahead of where they're at. And so I use different words and I use different ways to describe that. And so that was really, really, really helpful for me. I recorded those conversations so that I could literally use their exact phrases when they told me how they were feeling about something in particular. And that was key, like major, major, major helpful. So finding, I just used people, acquaintances and friends that I knew kind of sat within my niche, which was quite easy for me because I'd studied with a lot of practitioners. And so I knew quite a few, and they weren't, some of them weren't my friends, but we were connected on Facebook or whatever. So I just shouted out to them and asked them if they had, a spare 20 minutes or half an hour where we could have just a conversation. And I asked them if it was okay if I recorded it, and they were totally cool with that. And I didn't share that with anybody. I just used some of their phrases in my messaging.
I love that. And I think it can be really easy to forget to go and ask and forget to really talk to people. But even when you do, I think it can also be very tempting to force words into people's mouths, to ask them, do you feel like this? Is this, is this a problem, rather than just chatting to them and letting them speak to you and listening. And I think it's so crucial to try and be unbiased and just listen to their story and listen to their pain points without any bias that you put onto them. And it can be really challenging to do that.
Totally. Yeah. And
I love that you recorded it. It's a great learning. Ask if you can, because it's only in the moment, and once it's gone, it's gone. So
yeah. The other thing that I probably learned was and I don't know if it was you or somebody else who posted about this recently, but I read it and I was like, that is so exactly what I've done, is that when you're doing this process of learning and going to lots of different places, downloading 1,000 different opt-ins and what have you, you're getting really mixed messages about what tactic or what kind of strategy to take. And I've been told, you know, by one person to do a particular ad campaign, by somebody else to do a different type of ad campaign, by somebody else to do a different kind of ad campaign. And essentially that's just kind of confusing the message, like for me. So I think that one of the things that I would definitely recommend is go with one and try it, because I went with one and tried it that more than half of the people would have told me not to start with, and it worked perfectly for me. And then I had a meeting with somebody who recommended me to cancel what I just done and to do it another way, because I was totally going to get a way better return on this other way. And I did the other way and it didn't work at all for what I was doing. And so I've learned that if just follow one method, go with it and test it, and then see from there how you can build, rather than taking 15 different roads and trying 10 different things like for 5 minutes and saying they don't work.
I love it. And it's so important because it's true. I could tell you what I think will work and it'll be different to someone else. But I try not to as well, because even when I have different consulting clients, because I'm like you, I work in people's businesses and then I also coach. And when I work in people's businesses and do it for them, there's no blanket. I can't tell you that this ad format is going to work better, because I try that and I'm like, yeah, it's going to work so much better. And it doesn't. Yeah. And sometimes I can't even tell why. And so the best advice that I can give as well is to test. It's so important to just test your own market. Just pick something that you want to, you know, an idea, and validate whether it works or doesn't. And then once you validate that, move on to something else.
Totally. I got I shouldn't use the word luck, because I thought it up myself and I tried it and it worked. But I got, you know, lucky with the audience that I chose, because I made it so specific that literally nobody else except for my niche hang out in that space. And that has actually been paralyzing in some ways, because I'm scared to then broaden it at all, because I'm like, oh, it's not going to work as well because the other thing worked so well and it was so narrowed down. But I think that's like a really good takeaway for the first time you run an ad, or the first time you kind of put yourself in a particular space is your niche hanging out there, and is it only your niche that's hanging out there, as far as choosing an audience or being in a Facebook group or any of those things.
And I love the idea of getting out of your way that you mentioned earlier, and about the fact that, you know, you have these fears but you just do it anyway, because the biggest thing that you can do is get stuck by fear and have this like paralysis by analysis that a lot of us go through. So, so what else have you tried besides Facebook ads? Or what are you going to try?
So I have a Facebook group, and I've been building that since probably November, and I'm up to just shy of 700 people in there right now. And similar deal, they are exactly my niche. There's nobody in there that doesn't fit into my niche. I don't allow people in there that don't fit into my niche. And they're essentially a bit of a pool for me. I don't use it. I don't go in there and market myself. However, they're getting to know me, and I'm building trust with them through myself being active in there all the time. I comment on everybody else's, like anytime one of my members makes a comment or shares a post or whatever, I'm commenting on everything to really, again, build that community, both for them, because that's really a big passion of mine, is bringing all those people together. But also for me, it's brilliant because essentially a long-term goal will be that will be kind of my pool of where a lot of my clients are going to come from.
Brilliant. There's so many good things about that. So what you're doing is when you run ads, you're paying every time you speak to someone. So if you can find a way of putting them into an audience that you own, you've got control of it. The other thing that you mentioned is trust. Trust is so important. People buy from people that they know, like, and trust. If you don't have that trust, it doesn't matter what you're offering, what your message is, how amazing you are. If they don't have that trust, you're just like everyone else out there, and they're not going to buy. And the other thing that I wanted to mention kind of on that topic is one of the things that I think it might not be as maybe not prominent when it comes to small businesses, because I think we're all a little bit more cluey when it comes to marketing because we have to do it all ourselves. But when I do speak to larger clients, a lot of them are afraid of giving out content for free. So whether that comes to a group or, you know, a workshop like this or free downloads or anything like that, they're like, oh, but that's taking away from potential like paid clients. And even if they end up signing up to a course, I can't charge them as much as if it was one-on-one. So they're like losing opportunities. And it's such a massive learning curve that I have to take them through to explain that the more you give away, the more that you build that trust, the more that you'll get.
Yeah.
It might not be overnight, it will happen, and you're limiting your growth otherwise. So
Totally.
you've perfectly shown that.
Yeah, I have the same conversation with my clients. They often say that, and I remind them that a few things. One, that not any one individual is going to see every post that you do, and not any one individual is going to download every download that you create, and not any one individual is going to see everything that you share. And so, there's not any one person who's going to get everything that you give for free. And so people are just going to get snippets of that. And so there's no way that anybody can create whatever it is that they want to create based on your one freebie or your two freebies. They're always going to need more. And so especially for my clients from a health perspective, they could share everything that they know, but people don't really care, because if they cared, they'd go study that particular, they'd go study nutrition or naturopathy or whatever that is. And they don't want to study that. And that's why they need to see a practitioner who's going to help them. So those kind of trust building, different methods that you do to build the trust, whether that be videos or sharing content or freebies or whatever that might be, is just another way to, like you said, build the trust, because they feel like they're getting to know you by you sharing those things. But they're not getting end results from your one freebie. And it doesn't matter how much you share, they're never going to get everything from you that they need by the freebies that you share or the content or whatever. So,
and again, you said two things amazingly then. So one is it's great to have a variety of content. So not everyone, I actually know someone that's very close to me in my business life that I record these videos, and he doesn't watch them because he doesn't have the, patience to watch a video. So he's recommended that I transcribe them. Other people will want to read, other people want to listen. Some people, he's doing podcasts because he knows that his audience is very busy. They're in cars. So having a variety of content, even the same piece of content that you've got in a download, that you've got in a blog post, that you've got in a video or a podcast, it means that you're creating additional content for yourself, which is awesome. But you're going to be able to talk to people who take in content differently, which is awesome. And the other thing that you mentioned, the other thing I wanted to mention is, I think the other reason that people get scared of giving away things for free, and again talking about, they'll be able to do what I can do without me, is, and again, it's so much about doubting your own ability. And we've got to all remember, if we're in business, we have come a long way. We have a lot to share. We have a lot of learnings. It's very easy to forget or to not be able to see how much we know more than others in that bucket and that field, because we're in it every day. But we are experts and we have something to offer. And just because someone's even reading every piece of content you create, they're not going to be you. They haven't done all the study you've done. They haven't made all the mistakes you've done. They haven't wasted all the money on the failed ads that you've done, whatever it might be. Just remember that you are an expert in your own right, and you have something of value to offer. I think it's really
totally. Yeah. And if we're going to get a little bit metaphysical for a second, having that fear of giving that away for free is essentially coming from a lack mindset. And so when you come from an abundance mindset, and when you come from that space of giving, because there's always more, there's always enough, there are always enough clients for every single one of us to work in whatever industry you want to work in, whatever business you want to work in. There is absolutely a way that we can all succeed. It's not limited to one person or one thing. And so by coming from that abundance space and coming from that space of giving, you're going to attract people who are not coming from the lack mindset. So if you put something out from a space of lack, you're going to attract somebody who's not willing to pay for it, and they only want to download all your free things and take as much as they can from you for free. Whereas if you give from an abundant mindset, they don't even read your freebie, and they go to the second page and they book with you. And so by giving from that space and believing that there's enough, there is always more, there is always enough, totally creates totally different energy around what it is that you're sharing.
Yeah, so stop being afraid of your competitors. You never know, you might even be able to work with them one day.
Yeah, totally.
Learn from them, fine, but don't be afraid of sharing.
Yeah.
Cool. Awesome. So I guess now I'll hand it over to you, Carissa. Is there anything else that you wanted to kind of workshop around your next steps and around your marketing? I think you've added so much value to people already, but I'll hand over to you to see if you want to keep going at all.
Yeah, so I guess there's quite a few things that I want to do at some point I haven't done any blogging. I haven't really nailed my kind of email marketing yet. I've really, like, it's really still quite new for me as far as like only really having been launched for 3 months, and having had taken 3.5 weeks of those 3 months off. So yeah, I've got a list of things that I want to do. I want to run another ad, and I want to set up quite a few things in the background. But yeah, the main thing that I'm going to do sort of next is going to be launch another ad, essentially, and then all the other stuff will come.
Yeah, awesome. And we've kind of had conversations around your ads, and I think you're kind of comfortable there. You're going to do fine. So there's a couple things there that we can talk about. So email, which is actually what I wanted to talk about before when we were chatting through your funnel. So we do have an opportunity in a few places, but as soon as we've got someone's email address, every time that they move through your journey, your funnel, we have the ability to kind of nurture them. So there's, obviously you've got kind of almost every time you'll have two directions. You'll have people that are yes and people that are no. So even the people that sign up and go ahead, there's still opportunities there, which is maybe a secondary priority because you're already speaking to them and dealing with them. But about creating like email nurture sequences or automations, both from a perspective of sending them emails and content, but also even things like notifications and reminders to follow up with them at certain time frames, or that they're ending their program or whatever, so that you can build more value into that relationship and remember those kind of key milestones. Even like things like knowing when their birthday is or when they launch their business or whatever, where you can like show that you know them and you care. So that's one area. But the other area is obviously the no's. So 12% conversion rate to the phone call. I think a great area that we can probably work on when we have time and headspace next after your ads will be on those emails for the other 88% that aren't signing up for the call. So where we can get even a few of them to then sign up for the call, and for those that don't take the call, potentially when it's ready, we can put them into your group course. What we could even do, we can offer some sort of a pre-launch deal where they get some sort of a special price or added bonuses if they sign up prior to you actually launching, by getting an early. Obviously use the scarcity as well if there's only 10 spots. So get it now, or you'll have to wait till a future course and you'll have to wait longer. So I think that's probably a great opportunity for us. Some of the things we can do as part of that first set of emails is a few things. Obviously, it's still another opportunity to build trust because you're already doing that so amazingly well in your Facebook group. One of the things that I learned from someone that I look up to, actually the founder of ClickFunnels, which is Russell Brunson. He's the guy that I go to for all my content. What he recommends is, he calls it a soap opera sequence. And basically he writes it as basically a sequence of 3 to 5, maybe more emails, where basically you're taking them through your personal journey. So by the time that you've got their email, they might not have heard that journey of yours. But again, talking about that emotion, how did you get here and why is it such a passion of you to help these people? What are the pain points that you've seen them experience on a daily basis that you want to alleviate from them? Possibly was there a moment of crisis or a moment of truth that kind of took you on the journey that you went on, or something that you know that is being taught wrong or is a limiting factor in their business that you can help them with. And there's actually a structure to that, so you can probably even Google it, but it'll be in Growth Sprout. But that's one of the things that I think will be really great to see if we can increase the overall conversion rate to that call, or at least the course from those follow-up emails. So email's great. And the other one that you said was content. So a couple of tips around content when you get there. Again, like anything, it's really great to be consistent. So whether you can post once a month or once a week or once a day, as long as you're consistent, that's a good place to start. So pick a goal that is manageable. The way that you want to structure your content that will help with SEO is what's called content clusters. Now, the idea of a content cluster is, because the way that people search on Google today, all the keywords, the search queries, what they're typing is becoming very long tail. So instead of like, pink shoes, they're typing in some sort of 6-word keyword that's like, the exact details of the shoe that they want to buy. So what that means is that to come up for a topic on SEO can be more and more difficult because there's 100 different ways or searches that you want to come up for around one topic. So what the idea is that you'll have, you'll research your keywords and you'll have a number of kind of topic clusters that you want to come up for. And then what we'll do is create a hero piece of content for each of those clusters. That hero piece of content, and a great example to look at is Moz's Beginner's Guide to SEO. There's others, but it's like huge. It's like massive. It's got multiple pages. It's huge. And the idea is that that's your core piece of content on that topic. It talks through everything. It basically gives them everything for free. And then you have all these kind of like these siloed topic, like blog posts or whatever, or articles that are on one specific variation of that search query. So more specific, one part of that topic, and then you link them. So you'll have this thing in the center and all these individual articles around the side, and you link them all, and that'll give you better SEO value as a whole cluster, and also help you appear for all the variations of how people are searching for that. The other thing that we want to do is start with one cluster, the most important cluster, and then what you want to do, obviously every one of those articles should have a call to action at the end, ideally some sort of a free download to take them into an owned bucket of an owned audience, like your email database, or get them to come into your Facebook community group. And the other thing that we want to do is, once we've created a content cluster, is we want to try and reach out to people who we want to basically build links to that content cluster. So we want to look at how we can possibly find relevant broken links on other industry websites where you can say, hey, it's bad for your SEO. You've got a broken link there. I have an article on that. Here's a link. And they will, though. Often they will, because they don't want to go and find something to replace it with. They're either going to have to remove it or replace it with yours. So it can often be a quick way to get high quality links. You can also do guest blogging, where you write content on someone's site and they'll do it for you, and you link to one another. As long as the links are from other places in the industry, and ideally places that have trust and authority, that's what you want to aim for. So that will probably be the next things on the to-do list. But as I said before, man, like 8 months since conception, 3 months really since launch, less, and absolutely killing it. I think you've given a lot of value to everyone. I'm probably going to leave it there unless you have any questions yourself. No questions. Great. And I think that there'll be possibly a few questions that come through from the audience later today or over the coming weeks. So both of us will keep an eye on that. But I think Carissa in particular, you'll be able to answer some of those questions very, very well from your amazing experience and your amazing journey of successes. So thank you. Thanks for sharing.
Thank you. It's been fun.
It's been fun. We'll have you on again sometime when you're a year in.
Awesome.
All right, guys, we'll leave it there. Thank you so much, Carissa. We'll chat to you next time.
All right.
See ya.
Bye.